Okay, so I drew something to help me explain how I see things or how I see life in a sense, how I understand it. So I don't know if you guys know about those old school projectors, right? They use light to see what's on the film, and you need an electricity source. But so this is like film, and I related film to our DNA, right? Our genetic makeup. And in order to see things, or your experience lies within your DNA, right? You know, how you metabolize food, traumas, good memories, things like that. It's all stored here. Everything in your lineage is stored in your DNA. It's just there for you to access it. So I try to compare how I see life to a projector. And so, as you see, like the film needs light in order to project it, right? So, our minds is where everything actually happens. And our brain is like a coding and decoding system. Now, we use light, goes into our eyes in order to project what we see outside of us. It's like a white wall, and we project what's going on in our mind in here. So, literally everything is happening in your mind based on how much of decoding or clarity you have of your DNA. This is just how I see it, okay? So along with that, I want to say this is why it's important to continue to always seek knowledge and understanding, because then you have more ways to decode and code what you're projecting. So this is where manifestation comes into, or this is where I could try to explain how I manifest, because we have the ability to manipulate what we see based off of how much we know about ourselves and others. And the best way to know about others is to study yourself. And then you get to see more reflections of yourself, good and bad, because so like as I'm seeing this pen, right? It's a pen and it feels like it's solid, but the only reason why I see this as a pen is because the understanding is happening in my mind. It's not really happening out here, it's happening out in here. This is I don't know if I'm explaining this correctly, but literally things happen in the mind first. If nobody taught me that this was a pen, then I would make up my own concept as to what it is. It's based off of what's inside here already. So, I don't even know. I'm trying to get people to understand how we have more control over our lives than we think we do. And a lot of it is based off of understanding what's going on inside of yourself, your inner world. So if you don't like what you've been watching, then you may want to do things to manipulate that. And you can use your outside as well to manipulate your inside. So that's where affirmations and reading books of knowledge, studying your history, that's where all of that stuff is like reprogramming your mind to be able to decode outside. So once you start reprogramming or recoding your computer system, your inner computer system, you begin to see it outside of you. But the thing is, it starts in here first. That's my whole point to this. It starts here first. It hits your mind first. If you're seeing something, it's in your mind. It hits your brain, your occipital lobe when you're looking. If you smell something, you can't smell something without your mind, without it hitting your brain and you decoding that something's burning, you know? Another example, you know, when you hurt yourself, but you don't notice that you're hurt until you notice that you're hurt. Like for instance, you cut your finger like a paper cut. You don't realize it until your mind starts to sense that something is wrong, and then you look down and you realize, oh, I cut my finger. Then it starts to hurt a little more, right? Because in your mind tells you that that's supposed to hurt. Now, if you weren't taught that that hurts, then it won't hurt as much. So these are just different ways of me trying to explain, I guess, how our inner world is literally what we're experiencing. So work on your insides and then you'll start seeing a different experience on the outside. And when you do start working on yourself on the inside, a lot of things will change on the outside. When you start to heal certain parts of you, people that reflect those certain parts of you will eventually leave your life. They do come back to test you sometimes to see if you're still, receptive to that. But there is this concept that everybody is a version of you pushed out. And also another concept that you are like the closest 5 people to you. So take note of what is going on outside of you. What are you attracting? Because it's all your fault. I mean that in the most general, well, I don't want to say it's all your fault, but in a sensitive way, it's happening based off of, and I want to speak of trauma. It's not your fault per se, but if somebody in your lineage went through a certain thing and DNA stores memories from that, your body may recreate your chemistry, your aura may recreate that scenario, and then you go through that same trauma. If you look at trauma, you'll notice that like certain people, like if their family may have the same type of trauma, it's because it's in their DNA. So I hope this is making sense to someone, okay? And I hope it helps. But yeah, I mean that in the most sensitive way, that it's your fault. I don't mean that like it's your fault. It's also what's inside of you sometimes, and that's where we have to do the work to repair those broken spots. And it takes a lot, but when you want to change, you will change. So I mean that in the most sensitive way when I say it's your fault, whatever you're going through. And I mean that with good or bad too, right? With the good things that you're doing, taking care of people, loving people, making them feel uplifted. Again, if you feel like people are using you for that, you're allowing that too. So there's just some stuff that I learned that I felt like I'm supposed to share. So I hope this helps someone. Okay, I'm done. Bye.